Post, I believe. So yeah, record it and then get
Perfect.
rolling.
All right, guys. So I want to talk to everybody today. I'll give you a little bit of my background. So my background, I did chemical and nuclear engineering in school. I'm good with numbers. I'm good with quick numbers, right? I won't be humble about that because that's probably one of my biggest strengths is I'm really good with quick numbers. And so I've done door to door for a while. I actually exited door to door. I exited door to door at one point and just built up passive income with Turo businesses and my Airbnbs and stuff like that. And then I got back in because I wanted to blow up and I wanted to scale really big, right? So Y&R, I own Y&R. We did 50 million in sales this year. And one of my biggest things is you need to have passive income. The reason you need to have passive income is because I'm assuming every single person on this call is an entrepreneur. Well, if you want to start a business, what business is not going to have a down quarter? What business is not going to have 2 down quarters? And if you don't have passive income and your business has a down quarter, how do you pay for your mortgage? Right? How do you pay for your mortgage for 2 down quarters? The reason 90% of businesses fail is not because the businesses have bad product or they have bad managers. A lot of these businesses fail because they cannot pay for their mortgage and their kids' soccer practice and keep their business afloat. So the reason passive income is important is because if you can get enough passive income to take care of all your expenses, now it doesn't matter if your business is running a profit or not. Does that make sense? So that is why I'm very big on passive income, because I want to start businesses. I want to help people start businesses. And there's a lot of different ways. I've done Turo. I've got semi trucks, right? Last week, you guys got to talk to Brenner Downs. He's a good friend of mine. And I have semi trucks with them. And we've got a lot of different stuff. And one of my favorite ways of passive income is through real estate. Okay. Now, real estate has a lot of different benefits. And I'm going to go over some of them because it's very important to understand what you're looking for when you're looking for real estate. All right. So we're going to open up and I'm going to ask you guys questions and you guys are going to be interactive here. All right. So let's share this little this Word document. Okay. What do you guys think? What are some benefits of owning real estate? Let's go into some benefits. Shout them out.
Tax write-offs.
How? Do you know?
I'm leaving.
So, we'll go into that a little bit more because there's a lot into there. Okay.
Cash flow.
Cash flow. Okay. What else? Mute yourself after, okay, guys? That way we don't have those issues. Anything else?
Portfolio.
Okay, why does that benefit you?
It's a good question. I'm not entirely sure.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna put it down then. But it was a good answer.
Tangible portfolio.
You could say building a portfolio because you can leverage your assets, right? To get loans and stuff. Building to leverage asset. Okay.
It's a tangible asset.
So yeah, it's a tangible asset. It's something you can hold.
It's an appreciating asset.
It is an appreciating asset. That's huge, right? Appreciation. That's huge. Now I'm gonna circle 3 big ones, okay? Appreciation, cash flow, and write-offs. Those are the big 3. Okay. Now here's the thing. I'm gonna go over here.
Hey, quit splashing people now.
Okay, so here's the thing, guys. So you got these 3 big ones, and a lot of the time, properties are not all 3. Okay. So for example, if anyone's looked at buying real estate in Utah, Utah does not cash flow very well at all. Okay. Utah is very, if you're buying real estate here, it's very, very difficult to cash flow on properties. However, properties are increasing in value an insane amount in Utah, right? Over the last few years, properties have literally doubled in price in certain areas, right? Like you look at Park City, go look at the property value of properties in Park City 10 years ago versus right now. and you're like, holy crap. And that's appreciation. They might not be cash flowing, but they're going up in value. Now, here's another one is tax write-offs. A lot of people will buy properties specifically to save on taxes. They don't care if it appreciates. They don't care on cash flow. They're in a pinch and they need to write off some taxes. Now, I'm not an accountant, so this is not financial advice. It's not taxes advice, right? This is just my opinion. You know, you got to talk to your own accountant. My educated opinion, I'll say. But if you own Airbnbs and you do other stuff, you can become a real estate professional and you can do something called a cost segregation study. And what that allows you to do is it allows you, for some people, to write off your property really quick. Okay. So normally you have a property and you depreciate it over like 27 years. So if it's worth, let's say 270,000, you can depreciate $10,000 a year. But if you do a cost segregation, you can depreciate stuff between 5 and 7 years. So now you're getting a lot more write-offs quickly, right? You're getting almost 50,000, 50 plus thousand per year. So that saves people a lot of money in taxes. Now, an important thing here when I'm looking at properties, and I'm going to walk you guys through some of these things. You can't depreciate land. Okay. Do people know, do you guys know what depreciation is? Is there anyone who does not know what depreciation is?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike, I would go over it real
I'm
quick.
going to go over depreciation. Yeah. So the depreciation is essentially you telling the government, hey, look at my thing. My thing over time is breaking down and losing value. And I want to count that loss of value against my taxes. So, for example, if I bought a semi truck and I told the government, hey, look, my semi truck is useless over the next 7 years, like it's going to be toast. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to write off of my taxes the amount of money I'm losing, right? You know how when you guys go and spend money during the summer and some of your guys' accountants are smart and they're able to get these certain tax deductions for you, and they say, hey, hey, you're spending this money on housing, you're on gas, on whatever. So we're gonna write off your income because you're losing this money. It's the same thing. They're saying, hey, your assets are going down in value, so you're losing this money, so your income goes down. So that's how it saves you on taxes. So if I made $100,000, but I bought a property that gives me $40,000 in depreciation, now I'm down to $60,000 that I have to pay taxes on, right? So that's that benefit right there. Now, you cannot depreciate land. Does anyone have a reason you cannot depreciate land? Anyone have an idea?
Do you mean
Yeah, it's already broken down.
Yeah, you can't depreciate land, right? Like,
Yes.
how does your land break down?
Yeah, it doesn't waste away. It's always going to exist and go up in value. More people that come up.
So the government's like, hey, okay, you guys can depreciate your property. That's fair. Like your AC is going to break down. Your walls are going to break down. Your flooring, your heat pump, whatever, your water heater, your sinks even. You know, you can depreciate everything, but the land's not going anywhere. So when I'm looking at properties, and we're going to look at some properties is if I have a goal of I need one of these three things, okay? Because you need to always begin with the end in mind. If you're one of my guys, you've always heard me say that. Begin with the end in mind with everything. So if I'm looking for, I don't care about cash flow, I'm looking for appreciation, I'm doing a lot of studying to understand the area that I'm buying in. What kind of stuff is going to be coming in this area, right? What building are they doing? What are the jobs? What is the projected increase in value here? And I'm looking at that kind of stuff. For tax write-offs, I'm looking at where is the property going to, the house is a lot and the land is a little. I'm going to give you an example. I needed some tax benefits to write down my income quite a bit. And I bought this quadplex in Arkansas last month. Okay. This quadplex was $250,000. And the quadplex is located in a place called Hot Springs, Arkansas. Do you guys want to guess how much the land is worth in Hot Springs, Arkansas?
Worth nothing.
This is worth pretty much nothing.
Probably super cheap.
It's super cheap. It's Hot Springs, Arkansas. Like the land is just worthless. So that's a great buy for me because it's like, hey, CPA, they have their softwares where they can check out the land and they're like, cool, this land is only worth like 20,000 maybe, right? If that. So my tax benefits are really high on that land versus my house that I live in here in Utah, the land is worth 1/3 of the total price of the house. That's way worse, right? For tax benefits, for depreciation, because the land, right, it oversees, it has a super nice view. It's in a great location, close to downtown and the airport. So the land is worth a lot. And so if you're looking for tax benefits, you don't want that. So it's important to understand what you're looking for when you're getting into real estate, because otherwise, imagine you buy a whole bunch of properties that are going to appreciate really well, and people are telling you these are great deals, but they're cash flow negative, and a lot of great appreciation properties are cash flow negative. Okay. So imagine you find one, but you were going for passive income. You really want a passive income so you could go build businesses. Now you're cash negative. Now you need to make more money until you sell these properties in X amount of years, right? That doesn't help you. That's why it's really important to understand. As a general rule, you're going to find two of these. And here's what I mean. You could probably find a property that appreciates and cash flows, but it's probably not going to be good for tax write-offs. Or you can find a property that's going to be good for cash flow and tax write-offs, but it's probably not going to appreciate. So you can usually pick two of these as you're going through. Okay. Now I'm going to show you guys how I find a lot of my deals. I'm going to kind of give you guys some insiders so you guys can kind of just look at it. If you don't have the money right now for properties, it's not a big deal. You can wait. But it's very important that you understand, okay, where am I going to, what do I understand all these terms? Do I understand the numbers? So start looking now, right? It doesn't hurt you to start looking now. So I'm going to go over a couple terms with you guys. It's important because I'm going to do an exercise with you where we go look at some deals and is it a good deal or is it a bad deal? And we can kind of pick that apart. Okay.
Hey, Mike,
so,
can I ask
yes.
a quick question before we move on?
Yeah.
So theoretically, right? Like,
Yep.
for example, while I'm knocking down here in Florida in some of these really nice areas, there's just vacant land that is either being sold, it's under contract. There's also a few investors that I've talked to that kind of like talk to me about the same thing.
Sure.
Is there any way that, or like, is there like a rare unicorn in this case where you get a property that's appreciating in value? It has good tax write-off benefits. Let's say it might be like under a bridge or something. There might be some like other cases, and it's cash flowing passively.
Yes.
Like, what are the main things to look for?
Well, the main things to look for is you need to know the numbers. You need to be quick. That's why I'm saying you guys should start out now looking at all these deals so you can start understanding. Because here's the thing, a good deal includes two of these. There's a lot of deals that only have one, and there's a lot of deals that have none. And it's not a deal, right? But there are those deals that have all three, but those are the kinds of deals that go by really, really quick. Those are the unicorn kind of deals you don't usually even see. And what I mean by that is they never hit market. Somebody has to know this guy is reliable. If I have one of these deals pop up, I'm going to send it to him because I know he's got the money that he's just going to buy it, and he's going to buy it within like 5 seconds of me sending it to him. Okay. So that's where those relationships take place. So yes, you can find those, but it's going to be very hard to get to see those on market or see those other places. Usually you have to have the relationships for people who are out there doing the hunting. Now, maybe you're doing the hunting yourself. You're calling up people. You're the one knocking on doors, trying to find the deals, and then you could find it. But there's a lot of other better things that you could be doing with your time. So to answer your question, yes.
Also, just one other quick one.
Yeah, sure.
But like, let's say I find like a deal that I'm interested in like moving forward with, but I don't necessarily like want to hold on for like a long time. Instead of like sending it to like a title company, can I just like send it to you?
No.
No.
Because I don't know how to do what title companies do, right? Title companies do some important work, and in a lot of states, some states don't have title companies. Some states title companies do different things. Every state's very, very different. Use professionals. I'm very big on using professionals. Here's the thing. you guys have to think, most of you guys on here are all doing door to door, I'm assuming. What is your time worth? If you were out knocking for a day, how much money could you make? Okay. If you were recruiting for an entire day, how much money could you make? Is your time worth more than trying to do some title work where they pay people $20 an hour? Yeah, it probably is. Right. And so it's always, you should always be calculating, what is my time worth? Am I doing things that my time is worth? Am I increasing the value of my time? Right. So that's something else. But as far as this goes, we're going to jump back in. But great questions. And we're going to jump back in and we're going to look at some properties to give you guys an idea. Okay. And I want you guys to understand some terms. So when you're looking at these deals, I mainly buy subject to, and you'll see these, Sub2 and Owner Finance / seller finance. Those are the same thing. Now you can find land, right? You can find a lot of things. You can find cars that fit these types of things. If you want to learn a lot about subject to, you can look up Pace Morby. He does a lot of stuff on there. And owner seller finance, you can find a lot of free information on YouTube and just around about these. Okay. Subject to is really cool because, for example, I was talking to Liam on here earlier today and he's like, dude, I don't have credit or whatever. Here's what's cool about subject to. You don't need it. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I'm a single mom, I lose my job, and I have a house payment, and I'm behind 3 months now. What happens to me as a single mom?
You get foreclosed.
I get foreclosed. They kick me out. Now I'm a single mom on the streets, trying to get HUD approval, Section 8 approval to have the government help me with housing. But that takes months. So now I'm living in a homeless shelter with my kids, and that's not ideal. Or here's a better situation. Okay. Someone comes in and they're like, hey, you're about to get evicted. What if you have a low interest rate? You have a 3% interest rate. I would like to have that 3% interest rate. So how about this? You owe $10,000 on this house. I'm going to pay off that $10,000. I'm going to give you an additional $5,000. I get your low interest rate and whatever equity you have in the house. Deal? It's like, yeah, of course. Right now you get a 3% instead of like a 7% interest rate. You just got a whole bunch of equity and you just helped this person out of a really bad spot. So that's why subject to is really cool, is because it's a very win-win situation where they couldn't get rid of the property. You get it, you get the benefits. The title of the property goes into your name. That is your house. The loan stays in theirs. Okay. This is a quick overview on Sub2. Someone unmuted themselves. What's up?
So why wouldn't that single mom just pull her equity out of the house?
How does she pull her equity out?
Like if she only owes $10K, let's say it's a $300,000 house, wouldn't she like have $290,000 worth of equity?
Well, if she owned the house outright, then she wouldn't have payments.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
You can only take equity out for what you have. So let's say this mom bought the house 3 years ago. How much value do you think she's built up in 3 years?
Not a lot. It's all interest.
Almost nothing. Exactly. It's like 90+% interest. You're paying $2,000 a month at the beginning, and like $100 goes into interest. So that's why. So it's like 3-4 years in, she doesn't have very much equity. That's why. So maybe she's got 30,000. So it's a great deal for you because you just got $30,000 worth of equity, and you're like, dude, why doesn't she just pull out her $30,000 worth of equity? Where? Who's going to give her the loan? Who's going to say, hey, I see you're months behind on your mortgage. Your income's not great, but we'll give you a loan. It's not going to happen. So that's why you're stepping in and helping her out. Okay. Now, there's a lot of different situations. Like, for example, I bought a property and that one in Arkansas. It was this wealthy guy who was like, oh, I want some passive income. He knew nothing about properties. And he tried renting it out. He didn't want to hire a property manager because thought it was a waste of money. So he was doing everything himself. So it's not passive income. And he just got sick of dealing with it. So I got a great deal just because somebody got in, without knowing what they were doing. And I had a relationship with the wholesaler already. And that property, I'm getting a 50 to 60% cash on cash return. So great. I'm super happy. The guy's happy it's out of his hand. The realtor's happy, because they just made some money. So that's subject to. Now you got owner finance and seller finance. That's when like you said, the guy who's speaking earlier, who said, why doesn't, she just do this? This is a very different kind of a scenario. Owner finance or seller finance means, all right, It means that I own the property outright and I'm going to be bank. So I'm going to sell the property to you and you're going to give me monthly payments. These usually have a couple things attached to them. Balloons being one of them. So they'll say you can make, and I'm going to show you guys. The property I bought today was owner finance and it has a 10-year balloon. Okay. And I want to show you guys why it was a phenomenal deal. So it has balloons. And that means at the end of that term, 5, 10, 15 years, you have to pay the rest of the house. Okay. Now that doesn't mean you have to pay the rest of the house cash. That could mean you're going to pay the rest of the house by getting a loan on it. The deal today, right? That's 10 years. That's 10 years that the balloon is. Do you think I'm going to hold on to this house in Lebanon or whatever, Ohio, that's worth $150,000 for 10 years? Probably not. At some point, there's going to be a spike and I'm going to offload it, right? And so anyways, be careful with balloons though, because you don't want to put yourself in a bad position, right? I don't want to buy a property that has a $500,000 balloon in 2 years, and I'm not going to have the debt to income to get a loan on it if I need to. Okay, so you do need to be careful with balloons, but that's what that means. You have to pay it off at that point. Now, you will see some deals that are subject to and owner finance. So, for example, maybe because interest rates are so high, I'm not getting any buyers at the rate that or at the price that I want, and I have a lot of equity in my house. So I'm going to say, hey, you can buy my house from me. You can take over the loan payment on this $150,000, and my house is worth $300,000, and I'm going to sell or finance the other $150,000 to you. Does that make sense to anyone? Does anyone have any questions on that?
Yeah. So let's say that the tenant is already in debt. They already took out a loan in order to pay for the house. At that point, would it even be worth kind of owner financing it? Or
Great question. So that's a lien. You're asking, what do you do if they have a lien on the house? So I just bought a property 2 weeks ago in Ogden, and they had a lien on the property, right? It's a HELOC. So they took out a loan against the property and a lien. That's why title companies are important, because guess who told me there was a lien on the house? The title company. And the old guy
you bought
forgot.
it for a discount, correct?
I was already getting the house at a great deal. So then I had to go back to the owner and say, hey, I'm pulling out of this deal because of this lien. And he's like, oh, I forgot about it. He didn't have enough cash to pay it off for a while. And I was like, you know what? I think the lien was $10,000. I was like, you know what? If I put $5,000 more down, can you come up with the other $5,000? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. So we worked it out that way. So I put $5,000 more down. It lowered my monthly payments a little bit. And it was still a phenomenal deal, even with putting the extra $5,000 down. And I had calculated it before I made the offer. So
I know.
So that's just something you guys have to watch out for, okay? Now, when you're looking at it, there's going to be a couple things when you guys go explore some of these websites. There's something called LTR, which is long-term rental. Okay, so for example, you're going to see most properties do not cash flow long-term rental. You just get a renter in, your normal rental that you're experiencing, right? Then you have something called medium-term rental. Okay, these are going to be like 3-month, 4-month, 1-month rentals. A lot of the time you're renting these out to traveling nurses. Furnish Finder is a really good medium-term rental place to rent stuff out on. Okay, you can even on Zillow. And then you've got short-term rental. Okay, this is going to be like your Airbnb. Okay, Verbo, etc., stuff like that. Okay, then you also have something called Pad Split. Okay, don't use the Pad Split site. It's a scam. All right, and the reason I say it's a scam, Pad Split just means and I do this with a lot of my properties, is I rent out all the individual rooms. Okay, so I have an 8-bedroom house. I rent each room individually. Why do I do that? Well, on this 8-bedroom house, I'm going to give you a great example. This is this is a property in Ogden. Okay, so this is in Ogden. My payments on this property are $4,000 a month. Long-term rental, if I long-term rented this house, would bring me about $4,300 a month. Okay, so does this cash flow if I do this?
Yeah.
No. Anyone know why this is not cash flow?
Because you got expenses.
You got expenses. You have to pay a property manager. You need to, when you're right, when you're looking to see if something cash flows, you need to make sure, am I factoring my property manager? Am I factoring in expenses? Right? If you have a water heater go out in one of your rentals, who pays for that? Are you having your renter pay for a water heater? No, you have to pay for it. So you need a cash account that you keep full. So this is not cash flow. Well, if I do medium term rental, this is going to bring in about $5,000 a month. That's not bad. Okay. If I was doing Airbnb when I was looking at it, it was going to bring in about about $5,500 a month. Okay. So these two are cash flowing, but they're more work also. And if I was doing pad split, don't use the pad split website. They take 20% of your earnings. Like that's why I say it's a scam. Okay. Just rent out the rooms individually on Airbnb or on Zillow or on Facebook Marketplace. Don't do the pad split website. But that's what it is, renting out the rooms. If I did that, well, I can rent out each room for $800. There's 8 rooms. So that's $6,400 a month. $8,400 a month. This, or sorry, 64, not 84. That would be crazy. $6,400 a month, right? At least. And this is with getting long-term tenants. And these numbers are actually bigger. This one's actually about 6,000, and this one's over 6,000, like 6,800 for what the numbers actually were. Okay. And you don't have to deal with anything, and it's awesome. And there's cash flow then. Okay. So that's stuff to look at. This takes a lot of time. There's always people moving in and out. This takes a lot of time unless you have a really good management company. I actually really like Airbnb because if someone damages your property, Airbnb has insurance. Okay. So that's great. I had someone break a door and I was like, yeah, that door costs $1,000. And they gave me $1,000 for the door. And we ended up just like fixing it for $50. It was great. So I like Airbnb. You have normal rental. Now the problem with Airbnb is it's unpredictable and you can put yourself in a bind. Okay. The other problem with Airbnb is a lot of cities are cracking down on their Airbnb laws. And then you have medium term rental. Okay. And these can be really good. A lot of people really like this kind of stuff. So now you know long-term rental, medium-term rental, short-term rental. Then you've got
a question about pad split, Mike.
Yeah, what's up?
So is pad split necessarily like short or long term, or where do you typically see this?
If you do short term, it usually profits more, but it takes more work. If you do long term, profits less, but it's less work.
Okay. Just like I'm seeing like college towns, like subleases of different rooms for like houses and stuff. Is that like an example of pad split?
It could be, right? Let's say, but now that's something else, but it can be pad split of renting out rooms. Pad split for me just means renting out rooms. If I was going to pad split, for example, this property I bought in Ogden 2 weeks ago, I'm pad splitting it. I'm renting out each room. I'm getting rid of the living room. Okay. So you walk inside, on the left-hand side is the living room, a window and whatever. There's a hallway to the back bedrooms, to the downstairs. And so it's a 4-bedroom. Well, when you walk in, instead of walking into the living room, I'm just going to build a wall there. So it's just the hallway. On the left, there's going to be a door to that singular room. Okay. And then that used to be the living room. And I'll put a closet in, whatever. Now it's a 5-bedroom. Now, instead of that property pulling in $4,000 a month, it's going to pull in $4,800 a month. That's a huge increase. Huge increase. So that's what you'll see a lot of pad split people. They'll turn the garages into bedrooms. They'll turn the living rooms into bedrooms. Every single spot that could be a bedroom is a bedroom when you do pad split. And it's super funny to see these properties, but they cash flow really well. They're a little bit more work, but it depends on what you're going for. Okay. Now, cash on cash means, or COC, that's cash on cash return. Okay. And here's why that's important. So let's say, for example, a property, and you'll see a lot of, this is an important thing to calculate when you're trying to find cash flow. There's other, and this is the only one I'm going to go into for now, because this is what most of you guys are going to be looking for. And they say the down payment is $15,000. Okay. And they say that the PITI, we're going to break that down. Unmute Bailey. Thank you. Okay. Principal, interest, tax, and insurance. Okay. So this is like all of the normal expenses that you have. So for example, maybe, and they say that the PITI is $1,200 a month. Okay, just so you understand what that looks like broken down. Let's say that the principal in here is $100. The interest is $700. The taxes is $200, and the insurance is $300. Okay, now this is, or I guess $200. And this depends on what states you are in. Okay, and here's why I'll give you an example. I bought that property in Ohio. Ohio, in Cincinnati, their property tax is 2%, and their insurance is extremely high. Why do you guys think Ohio's insurance is extremely high? Crime, tornadoes, flooding, right? They've got not natural disasters. How high do you think the insurance is in Ogden, Utah?
A lot lower.
Super low. To give you guys an idea, the property I bought in Ogden was $380,000, and the insurance is $78 a month. Okay. The property I bought in Arkansas is $250,000, and it's $400 a month for insurance. Where do I ever get that insurance money back? Never. But it's cash flowing really well, so I don't care. Okay. But it's important to understand that a lot of people look at properties in Ohio and they're like, it's such a good deal. Look at this. You want to know what the property tax in Utah is? 0.6%. And in Ohio and Cincinnati, it's over 2%. So you never get that tax money back. You never get the insurance money back. So it's important that you understand this kind of a breakdown, because you want this to be really high. You want this to be really low. Okay. Now, what's nice is you can at least write off the interest, but it's like, still, you want this stuff to be low because you're actually putting this money back in your pocket. So if you're looking for a property that's going to build equity, for example, let's go back here, equity and appreciation. I'm going to look for properties where this stuff is really low and this is really high. Does that make sense? So that's why you want to look, you want to know how to break it down. So the PITI is 1,200. Section 8, so if you ever see S8, that's Section 8. All right. Section 8 is HUD. A lot of people are scared of Section 8 because they're like, oh man, these are poor people. Poor people are going to destroy my house. It's not true. Okay. There are some people on Section 8 who will destroy your house. There are some normal renters that will destroy your house. Section 8 is hard to get approved for, right? That single mom doesn't want to lose her Section 8 status. And if she destroys your house, she loses her Section 8. Now she doesn't get help with government funding. The reason people say Section 8 tenants usually destroy your house is because they'll stay in your property for like 10, 15 years. Do you think if anyone is in your property for 10, 15 years, it's probably going to get pretty destroyed? Yep. That's why they do depreciation.
100%.
That's it.
100%.
So these Section 8 people aren't destroying your house. It's someone lived in your property for 10, 15 years and it got damaged. That makes sense. That's why there's depreciation. That's why you have that budget set aside to fix stuff. Now, sometimes Section 8 is greater. The rate is greater than long-term rentals. Okay. So I could rent this out to just any average Joe for, let's say, for $1,300 a month. But on Section 8, maybe I could rent it out for $1,500 a month. Okay. You're going to find this flip-flops based on each city, each county. And I'll give you guys a website that tells you what the Section 8 rental is. And then you could just look up what the long-term rental is. Okay. Now I'm at 30 minutes. So we're going to finish up here pretty soon. I want to show you guys an example of me doing what I'm talking about. Okay.
Quick question though. Does this include government grants or no for Section 8?
No, this is just the payments that Section 8 can make. Okay. They limit on how much they can pay because the government pays 80, 70, 90%. So I'm going to show you guys this. This was the deal this morning. So look at this. He found the deal at 9:22 a.m. and put me into this email and sent me the information on it. And I told him to call me at 9:27. So 5 minutes later. I bought it at 10, 11. Okay, it was a good deal, and we negotiated. So let's look at it. So he sent me this stuff, and this is the property. So this is the information on it, so you guys can kind of understand. So, very large foyer. Don't really care about a lot of this. So new roof, yes, that's important. Furnace and water heater, replacing 2222, great. I'm not probably gonna have to spend money on that. Principal PP. So that's the purchase price. PP is purchase price. So the seller carry, that means how much how much is the seller, how much do I owe the seller essentially after buying it? Okay, and here's what that means. It was a $15,000 entry fee. So purchase price 145, 10,000 to the seller. That's why the seller is carrying 135,000. Remember, this is not a sub-2. This is an owner finance. So they're covering the 135, and I make my payments to this person. $5,000 assignment. So this goes to the person who sent me the deal. Okay, to the realtor, whatever you want to call it. Now, here's why I really liked this property. $600 a month, principal only, 0% interest payments to the seller due on the first 10-year balloon. What that essentially means, and I did the math really quick in my head, was if I make payments on a property for 10 years, on this property, I probably have less than $20,000 of equity. And I have to get a loan and all this stuff. Let's do some quick math. What's 600 times 12, right? 12 months.
7,200.
7,200 times 10 years. That's 72,000. I have 72,000 versus less than $20,000 in equity. So him doing this, I get an extra 52,000 or 50 some $1,000 at the end of that 10 years. Is that a good deal? Now that's great for appreciation. Now, what did I tell you guys? Great for appreciation, great for taxes, great for cash flow. And this one's good for cash flow. But guess what? It is not good for tax. It's only a $150,000 house, right? That's not great for taxes. After land, that's 130,000. That's not gonna move the needle much on how much I owe in taxes. So that's why, I got the two. Market rent. Now, here's another thing. Don't ever believe these guys. They'll always post what the long-term rent is, what the Section 8 rent is. Like, he put it down. Let's fact check them a little bit. So Section 8, this is the website I'm going to send you guys. You can go in here and you can check what Section 8 rates are. Okay. So in Ohio, in this county, it's $1,093 for a 3-bedroom. Okay. It says 4-bedroom, but one of the bedrooms does not have a closet, so they're not going to count that. 1,093 for Section 8. Bah. Wrong. Right? Okay, well, what about for long-term rental? Well, let's go Zillow. And let's see what Zillow has to tell me about the long-term rental here. If I click on here, rent estimate, 1,400. That's probably if the property's in prime condition. Okay. What did he have here? 12 to 1,300. That might be accurate. Okay. So if I'm calculating, well, 600, and you'll notice he doesn't have, it's 600 to principal. There's 0 interest. Insurance, it's Ohio, so it's going to be high for the property value. It's probably going to be $100, $120. So if I'm calculating the cash on cash, let's do that really quick. Okay. So follow with me. I'm going to do it on my calculator. $600 for principal. Interest, 0. Insurance is going to be about 120. Taxes, I found that I asked them for the taxes. It was about 100. So now I'm at 820. Most property management companies take 10%. So I'm going to add in another 120. Okay. Plus, I should probably factor in $70 a month for repairs for this property. So I'm at $1,010. Okay. And if it's cash flowing, let's call it even $1,300 a month. That's going to be about $300 of profit per month. Well, 300 times 12 is 3,600, right? If I put in 15,000, so 3,600 divided by 12,000, that's a 30% return, right? Now, when I did the numbers with him, obviously I wanted it to seem worse. So I told him I can't do it at 15, dude. Doesn't fit it's called a buy box, what I'm looking for. And he's like, well, what could we make it work? I was like, if it was around 12,000 in, I could do it. So guess what? I got it for 12,000. Okay. So now 3,600 divided by 12,000. I did something wrong. 3,600 divided by 15,000. That was a 24% return. That's right. So it's a 24% return. And I told him I can't do that. Divided by 12,000 is a 30% return. Great. It's much better for me. That's an example. So I will send you guys this website on here where you can look at what Section 8 rentals, and you can calculate, you can find anywhere in the country. So here you go. What's the best way to approach people about seller financing? Here's the thing, Ethan. My time is worth too much. I don't approach people. I just let I let the wholesalers send me deals. Okay. I can make so much money like knocking doors, going and recruiting, doing this other stuff. I'm going to maximize my time. Okay. And so I'm not going to go out and call people and ask them to go do Section 8 or to do this other stuff. I'll let the wholesaler. I'm happy to give that guy $5,000 or what ended up being $2,000. Okay. He did some work. He spent a lot of hours doing it. And if I spent the amount of time to find that good of a deal, I could have made more money doing other stuff. Okay. So that's the website to look at Section 8s. Now on Facebook, I'm in a lot of different groups. So you'll see if I go through my feed, like this is one of the wholesalers. See how he posted this deal in Peoria, Arizona? Just off the bat, off the top of your head, do you guys think Peoria is a cash flowing place, an appreciation place, or a tax benefit place?
Appreciations.
It is an appreciation place. You are not going to cash flow on this property. Definitely not. And the land is probably worth a ton. So the tax benefits are not going to be great as far as how much you're probably going to put down. Right now, if they don't make you put a ton down, then it could be good. Okay. So we go through here. Let's find a different one. Utah seller finance deals. Okay. Here's one. It's in Eagle Mountain, right? 3% interest. That's great. 4-bedroom. So you're taking over their loan. The seller wants 15,000, 16,000 to the listing agent. So this is stupid. Why are you giving the listing agent 16,000? So it's saying 51,000 down. So it's like you can get this way lower. You can get this probably to like 30,000 if they were desperate enough. But here's the thing, it's a low payment. $2,500 a month for a $500,000 house in Eagle Mountain. That's pretty phenomenal. So they jacked this up. But right? You're an intellect. You're like, no, I'm not paying the listing agent $16,000. That's ridiculous. I'll give you $6,000. Okay. Same thing. I go through a lot of these properties and you can really quickly see, is this going to do well? So you can look at this. See this one, first position mortgage, second position mortgage. He has 2 mortgages on the house. Okay. 6.25% interest. I'm not interested. I'm just not even going to look at the rest of it. I'm just not interested in that high of an interest rate. I get that myself. And 40,000 down. It's like, this is a bad deal. Shocker. It's in Texas. Texas usually has very bad deals. So I'm going to let you guys go. That is, I'll open it up to questions before I get going for, let's call it 10 minutes. So 10 minutes. What kind of questions do you guys have?
So do
Michael.
you get it?
Yeah.
You can go first.
Okay, so how do you go about finding Section 8 deals?
That was it.
Like, besides, like, is that it? You just go on Facebook Marketplace?
I have all these different groups I'm part of, and I bought up so many properties so quickly that the wholesalers that I've worked with really like me. Okay. And there's one more term you guys need to watch out for. It's called JV. That means joint venture. So let's say I am, an entrepreneur and I want to hit up and I'm like, oh man, that's a phenomenal deal. And I tell this person, hey, I'm not going to buy it, but I've got a buyer. Okay. So just cut me in, give me a couple grand. That's called a joint venture. I'd highly advise staying away from joint ventures because you can end up paying a property, like a real estate agent. So now you're paying a real estate agent, you're paying the original wholesaler, and you're paying the joint venture for the same you're paying them all for the same job. Like, that's stupid. I try to find jobs where there's no JV and there's no real estate agent, only a wholesaler. Okay. I'm not trying to pay 3 people for the same exact job. That's stupid, and you'll probably get a bad deal. So anyways, that. Sorry. So yeah, what was the question you had asked?
How do you go about finding how do you just go about looking for opportunity in Section 8?
Again, I just scroll, like, dude, when I'm going, I'm quick. It takes me less than 5 seconds because I got so good at it. At the beginning, it wasn't that good. It takes me about less than 5 seconds to look at a deal and determine whether it's a good deal or not. So I just scroll through, and great deals are not very common. And then I verify. I don't just assume it's a good deal. I verify what's the Section 8 rates, what's this, what that. But my best deals have come from wholesalers sending them directly to me because of our relationship.
Yo, Mike, how do you get approved for Section 8?
You don't get approved. That's why it's awesome. You could be 16 years old and get Section 8.
Oh, wow.
You just take over their payments. So they literally give you the login for their mortgage portal, and you just have it auto come out of your account, and then the title company transfer the title into your name. No loan, no mess. You're good.
And with subject to is similar, right?
That was subject to. Owner finance is very different.
When you first started getting the Section 8s, what database did you where did you find these homes at?
Literally
Like,
just
where did
Facebook groups. I just joined a whole bunch of Facebook groups, and I just looked.
Can you explain difference between seller finance and subject to?
So again, subject to is they have a loan with the bank and you take over the payments, and that's now your house. Seller finance is this person owns the equity in the house. They own this house and you're paying them. They're the bank.
Okay, so when you're first starting out, Mike, like a lot of us probably are, in a case where it's like a pretty hefty down payment and you don't have the $51,000 for it, is there a way that you get around that other than negotiating, or like do you go to a bank, or do you just walk away from the deal?
I walk again. There's like I had a deal that was 6,000 down. Just wait for a deal that in your buy box. That's what it's called, right? Say, hey, I can do this much down. The most I've ever put down was 150. That was the most. The least I've ever put down was 6. There's a range.
A lot of these deals, are they going to be like fixer-uppers?
They can be, like that Ohio one for sure is. There's another Arkansas one that I bought that was. The one that was 150 down was not. That was pristine. But yeah, if you're putting very little down, there's a very good chance you're going to have to put in a little bit of work into it. And a property manager, by the way, guys, you hire a property manager. Property managers have relationships. Find a good property manager. They have relationships with people who can fix it for you. So you don't have to spend the time doing that.
How long do you plan on holding that deal for, the one you just got?
Until it doesn't make sense to, right? Let's say something big pops up in Lisbon, Ohio, and the property spikes up in value. Yeah, I'm going to sell it really quick and pick something else up.
When you have a balloon on a property, let's say you hold it, it's a 10-year balloon, and you hold it for 8 years and you sell it. Does the person that you sell it to have only a 2-year balloon, or does the 10-year balloon restart?
No, so if you sold it, that's what's called, it depends. Did you sell it to someone who got a loan on the property, or did you sell it to someone else who's making payments like you were?
Maybe both scenarios would be best to know.
Well, if you sold it to someone who gets a loan from the bank pays the whole property. So that guy got all of his money. So there's no balloon because he's now paying the bank. He's not paying the owner. He's paying the bank. If you do it where this guy is now making the payments instead of you making the payments, that's called a wrap, and a very good strategy. Because let's say you find a property that's going to cash flow $600 a month and it's 13,000 down. So you go buy it for 13,000 down, and then you go and sell it for 15,000 down or 18,000 down. And instead of cash flowing 500 a month, you let it cash flow 300 a month. Now this person's paying you every month. Your cash flow, you're profiting 200 a month, and you got a return on your initial. It's called a wrap. When you find those really good unicorn deals, sometimes a lot of people do those wraps where they're like, they make it a less good deal, and it's like, boom, now you're cash flowing until this person pays that property off.
What was your first investment property? Do you remember?
Yep. It was a 5-plex in Kansas City, Ohio. or sorry, Kansas City, Kansas, and cash flows really well. It was like it's a really cool property, and I still have it.
How much down was it, and what was your interest?
Well, I didn't buy that one with Sub2 or Owner Finance. I bought that one with my brother because I didn't have credit because I had filed bankruptcy when I was 22, so I had to use creative financing, but we used his loan and my money, so we just got a traditional loan for that property.
Nice.
Yep.
So what
What's
would be
the
like your?
significance
Oh,
of
sorry.
I'll ask. What's the significance of a title company, and like what do they do for you?
They do title search, so they make sure there's not a lien on the house, right? Because if you buy a house and there's a lien and you don't use a title company and do a title search, guess what? You have to pay that lien.
What's the lien?
A lien means this home, whoever owns this home owes $10,000, right? So when you buy a house and you see a $10,000 lien, it's like, hey, lower the price by 10,000 or pay this off. So for example, let's say I took out a second mortgage, right, or a HELOC. I took money from my loan or from my property value. I got a second loan on it, and they put a lien on the house. Or let's say I had some general contractors come and do some work and I don't pay them. They could put a lien on my house, which means you have to pay them whenever you sell a property, whenever you do something. So whoever owns that property owes that money. So if you buy that property and you don't catch a lien, you're toast.
Hey,
Anyone else?
what's the recycle the balloons?
What's the cycle for the balloon?
Yes, sir.
It just depends, whatever, that's a negotiation term. So for example, at this property in Utah, the property in Utah was also a creative finance, and they wanted it to be a 3-year balloon, and I told them I wanted a 6-year balloon, and we settled at a 5-year balloon.
Okay, so you can plan for it.
Oh yeah, you can negotiate it, right? It's a deal.
What's the
Anyone
benefit
else?
of a seller having a balloon on their property?
Well, they get the rest of their money in 5 years. So they know they're getting monthly payments for the next couple of years, and in 5 years they get all of their money.
And you get a lot of your deals from Facebook.
Well, yeah, I met all my
Wholesale.
wholesalers on Facebook. Yep.
Through wholesalers.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, hey, there's 40 people left on here. I got a pretty cool book that goes over a lot of building wealth. It's called Unchained Wealth. So for the first 5 people who do not follow me on Instagram, who go and follow me on Instagram and message me, I will send you a copy of my book. It's called Unchained Wealth, and it goes over how I went from bankrupt to millionaire in like 2 years, about how I bought a lot of properties, and it defines appreciating assets, depreciating assets, and a lot of that stuff. So go follow me. Let me know if you yeah, I'll send you a copy of the book. And but you can't have been following me before. Sorry.
What?
Again.
No way.
Sorry, Tyler. Yeah.
I literally messaged you so fast.
Nice. Well, a lot of you guys will probably be at the Bear Lake trip, so I'll give you guys copies of the book there.
All right. That's fine.
Hey, I'll take 3 more questions. 3 more questions. Make them good ones.
All right. Yeah, I got another one. So in regards to just like the overall aspect, so like whenever all the rookies go home, right, we're all in different states. We probably will all get different types of interest rates, like depending on the way that we want to finance, what type of property we get, all that fun stuff. So like depending on like your experience so far, especially with like the different types of properties you could get, right? Like let's say that the break level is like around, let's say like 50K, right? So like for 50K, what should we try to be looking for to like maximize that type of return to where A, it doesn't completely suck us of all of our like investment money that we already made, and then B, also look into like other ventures or maybe just like, I don't know.
So 50K down is a lot, right? I've only ever done 4 properties more than 35K down. One was 150 and the others. 50K is a lot down. So if you're putting that much down, you're probably going to get something that that's when you can get something that cash flows okay, right? As a cash on cash percentage, not as a number, cash on cash percentage, it's okay. And that's when you can get something that will probably appreciate well, and something that will get you a lot of tax benefits. The more you're willing to put down, the more, better property you can usually expect. So when you say, hey, what should I look for? Well, again, it depends on what you're going for. If you want something that's great, just keep in mind, how much is this area appreciating if you're looking for appreciation? What's your cash on cash percentage? Don't care about the dollar amount. Everything is percentages. And what's the land worth here? Is it going to save me a lot in taxes? So you look at that kind of stuff. So that's like look for something good. Look for something good in terms of percentages compared to other stuff. It's hard to just say, look for, that's a very long conversation where we look at stuff. Any other last question? This is the last one. All right, guys, great talking with you. Reach out if you have any questions. Have a great rest of your night. Bye.
Thank you.